Good morning. Feel free to screenshot this so you can read along. I'm going to multitask here. I got to make my stew this morning. Rotate you that way a little bit. I already peeled my carrots. I'm making this stew for a little camping trip. I plan on leaving tomorrow morning, I think. But I wanted to address this note here. So you guys know I do my Sunday night chat videos, and this last one was based on just the comments in Wonder Hussey's video, under her video, because she edits her video and she keeps in what she wants and everything, and it's fine. But one of the things that she left in there was this comment I made. We were driving, I was driving, and she promotes me as the manliest man, and what she's saying is, I'm a veteran and everything, and more conservative minded, and how do I live in Los Angeles? And that's why I said what I said, and I don't apologize for it. It's the truth. And I said, well, not everybody in this town is loony lefties, and there's a lot of good people here whose brains work. There's a lot of business owners, and although that's going away, like a lot of businesses are just leaving the state right now. It's pretty crazy. But there was a pretty benign comment. But there was, a few people in her video, like 4 or 5 people that had a problem with that, and they get defensive. And I made the point in my little video on Sunday. If that offends you to the point where you need to take the time to type something out to me to tell me how you feel and attack me in some way, you're not hurting my feelings or anything. I'm not that much of a wimp. But well, then you're putting yourself in that category. You are one of those people. You just outed yourself as that. So that's fine. In my comments in the Sunday night video, I had there's a lot of stuff with the oil discussion. You're not schooling me on anything when you do that. I know what I'm saying. There was a funny thing about the production. Like, some guy went off, like he looked up the definition of net exporter, and he was really funny about it. He's like, we still buy oil. We've bought it. Yeah. I don't want to get into that discussion right now, but you're just never going to convince me that it makes sense to buy oil from another country. When we get it here, we're not really buying it. Like, most of the oil is produced on lands that the government owns, so it's leased, so the government's making money, and that money goes right into the government, and then those companies refine it and sell it and all that other good stuff. But you can't tell me you got something under your feet that you could extract out of the ground and refine it here and utilize it, that's not better than buying oil from on the other side of the globe, Saudi Arabia and everything else, largely from people that, they end up funding all these other wars and everything with the money that we give them to make them rich. Like, I just don't see how you argue against the point I'm making here. It doesn't make any friggin' sense. So knock it off, because you don't make any sense. So, but this guy, this is really good. I'm going to read it here. It's on my laptop. You can't see me. I got it off here to the side. But he says, I find it interesting that what you're saying with regards to the loonies on the left destroying America, which I didn't say that. Did I say that? That they're totally destroying America? I mean, they're trying to. Is similar to what's said about loonies on the right. And then he goes in, he says, the right's obsession with forced birth, forced religion, environmental destruction, destruction of public education, putting obstacles up to voting, etc., isn't doing anything to help America either. It seems like the ultimate plan is to keep everyone at each other's throats. We should all do what we can to resist that. Be kind to one another, as you say. Biden has not done anything to hamper the energy industry except cancel some leases in sensitive places. He's talking about the oil there. We are as energy independent as we were under Trump. It's just not the case. Not the case. There are different grades of crude depending on where it's extracted, so there are still imports. Regarding the pandemic response, do you not think it possible that the people involved were doing the best they could with the hand they were dealt? An alternative response, such as letting it run amok, could have gone even worse. No one knows. Well, that we know now that we do know that it was BS. The whole thing was BS. It was a real thing. It was a strain. It was basically just a stronger flu. You want to get into conspiracy theory, I think that thing, it was set up definitely to take Trump down so that people could focus on something. But in particular, it went after the obese. Comorbidities is what was killing people. It wasn't the COVID. It was what people were already sick from. And for a lot of people, it's just old age. And keep in mind, man, the food industry and everything else and the way people eat in this country with the obesity rate and what's in the food. Like, most of the food in the store should have a skull and crossbones on the label. Let's face it. People have no idea what they're putting in their bodies. They think, it makes sense. People are just ignorant. They think if it's available in the store, it automatically is good for them, I guess. I don't know. Same thing, if they hear the same thing so many times in a row, they think it's the truth. The people running things know what they're doing, man. So they want to keep you weak. I contend, I make this, it's almost a joke, but I really think that they're trying to keep us sick and unhealthy to keep the medical industry going. Because it seems to me if you ate real food, got enough exercise and enough rest, kept your stress levels down, you wouldn't have all the sickness that's out there, Butter. Health food, butter. One of the best things for you. It's good for your brain, everything. You need the fat people. I'm going to use all of this too. Boom. Boom. All right. So there's that. Well, let's get back to what he was saying in the first paragraph here. The right's obsession with forced birth. Look, the thing about the right, what they want, most of them don't have a problem with like birth control or birth control pills, that sort of thing. I think he's conflating religious right and just average conservatives. So there's a difference there. But it's a viable fetus thing. And it's a belief system. That is what the problem really is. I'm the type of person who believes that life begins at conception. There's a spark that happens and life is created right there. Now, a lot of the time that life doesn't last very long, right? Women have miscarriages all the time. That stuff happens naturally. But barring a miscarriage, if you're a healthy person, pretty good chance that that thing's going to develop into a human being. So, without judgment, you can't deny the fact that getting an abortion is killing a potential human being. That's what you're doing. Now, I don't have a problem with that early on, right? When there's not much going on in there. And neither do most people who would classify themselves on the right. The problem is that the left wants there to be zero restrictions. So you could be 4 months pregnant, or, in some cases all the way up to the birth, or 9 months pregnant. They want to be able to get rid of it. And the thing is about it, it's like the lies that they tell about it for the health of the woman and everything. Most of the time that's just not the case. It's just a choice. I'm going to tell you a story, because I think that my opinion matters on this particular topic a little bit. When I was in high school in the 80s, we were all programmed where, hey, if the girl gets pregnant, you just get an abortion. There was no discussion about it. That was just what you did. And I'm lucky. As far as I know, I never got anybody pregnant. But, as some of you know, I've been living alone since I was a freshman in high school. And when I was 16, I had a car. And I had, zero guidance because I lived alone. I usually don't talk while I'm doing this. Let me just finish this up here. And so what ended up happening was if a girl I knew got pregnant, or one of my buddies got his girlfriend pregnant or whatever, I ended up being the guy that took the girl to get the abortion. It's pretty bad, man. I'm not happy about this. I'm haunted by this. Because I don't remember who the first one was, and I don't remember all of them. I kind of blocked this out for the most part. But green beans. The first girl, it was a girlfriend of a girlfriend of mine. And so she figured it all out. She figured out the place. Now, back in the day, this is, Planned Parenthood, Back in the day, there wasn't some nice facility or something. It was just a house that had been converted into this. So, and I made the mistake of going in with her. And, on the way up there, I didn't know this girl very well, I don't think. And so I got to know her. She's a pretty nice girl. She was in a pretty good mood. I wasn't questioning her choice or anything. Just, it's her body, her choice, right? So we get there and go inside, and she sets this whole thing up, and then they take her in the back there. It being just a house, I could hear through the wall everything that was going on. Now, I don't know if they give you laughing gas or something. I had a bad experience with laughing gas when I was a kid at the dentist, and they put me with the laughing gas, and I just had this crazy experience, man. And I started screaming and freaking out. That's what she was doing, and I could hear that through the wall. And they turn this machine on. I guess they suck it out like a vacuum or something. Just hearing her and that machine and everything else was horrible. It was friggin' horrible. And I'm going to tell you something. When she was done and she came out, she was not the same person she was when she went in. She went in vivacious, pretty happy person, a little nervous about this procedure, but she was convinced that it was the right thing to do. When she left, she was not the same person. And I ended up doing that at least half a dozen times, maybe as many as 8 or 9 times, maybe 10 times. I can't remember because I really kind of blocked it out. I never went in again. I always waited outside. It was always the same thing. And, they weren't happy. I've known these girls, some of them, and I've reconnected with a few of them, decades later, and had these conversations, and some of them are of the opinion that, hey, I think it was the right thing to do because I was young, but at the same time, they still regret it. And then others just regret the whole thing. It's pretty crazy. But the main thing is that what young people need to get through their head is that how it works. And if you want to talk about the history of abortion and Margaret Sanger and who she was and the reality behind whose babies she didn't want being birthed and where those facilities were first located and everything else, look into Margaret Sanger and that, because there's a lot more going on there. But the right, the big thing is they don't want tax dollars going to funding the abortion thing. So that's the main focus of that. And so it's not forced birth, it's personal responsibility. How about you don't get knocked up in the first place? You know how it works. You can have sex and not get pregnant. That's a discussion that people should be having. And that's the thing, like when I was a kid in school, like sex ed was sexual reproduction. It wasn't, if you're curious, this is how you suck a dick. That's not what it is. It's crazy what they're doing right now in schools, which we're going to get into in the education part of this. So it's not that the right is forcing birth. It's that they just want you to take personal responsibility, and they don't want tax dollars of people funding the abortion thing. That's basically what it boils down to. It's very simple, and it's a heated issue, and it's hard to talk about for some people, and men aren't supposed to have any opinion at all on it. I just think that what I experienced with those girls gives me the right to discuss it a little bit. That's my life experience. You can't take that away from me. So there's that. Forced religion. Who's forcing religion on anyone? Give me that example. I'd like to see that. This is the thing that people do. This thing I don't like about social media. You'll see somebody will make all these blanket statements, unsupported, every single one of them. There's no examples. Here's what this one side does all the time, period. And then, I'm not going to get into a typing argument with somebody. I got other things to do. Look what I'm doing right now, right? So I don't know what he's talking about, forced religion. Although I will say I support like a prayer in school. Not a religious thing, but more so like that's a moment of quiet time between you and the universe. I think that idea and the idea of meditative state, I think is a good thing. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Getting people to think about the idea of something bigger than them is huge, because we're in this world right now of me, 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 me. That's a problem. So I don't know. I don't see the forced religion thing. You got to give me an example. I don't even know what to talk about with that. I'm not a religion fan personally. There's too much history. Religion has been the cause of a lot of war. My side's right, your side's wrong. My book tells me to do this. Cut your head off or whatever. Enslave you, tax you if you don't agree with what I think. That's a friggin' problem. So yeah, but I don't see the right forcing a religion down anybody's throat. And what does he mean by what religion are you talking about? There's so many religions in the world. It's just a silly thing to say. I don't. Where are you seeing forced religion? I don't see it. Give me an example. Environmental destruction. The right is for environmental destruction. Did you know that? The right wants to just burn down the world? Oh my God. No. That's just silly. What the right wants to do is utilize land properly. You know what I mean? Teddy Roosevelt created the Park Service, and he was a Republican. You know what I'm saying? Or the national parks. It's just a silly statement. Show me where Republicans are out there saying, I want to destroy the environment. Like, there's so much propaganda against anything that develops the land or getting natural resources. And I'll tell you, I support that. What I support is companies being held to a degree of responsibility with the environment. Use the natural resources, but restore the land. The technology we have today is far superior to what it used to be. And this is the only country, it seems like, where they're actually trying to play by some sort of rules. What's interesting to me is the people that believe this drivel here are the same people that will go out and buy these battery-powered cars with zero guilt, knowing that the cobalt and all the other chemicals to make those batteries are coming from, these other countries that don't have any of the laws that we have. I mean, it's brutal. Children digging this stuff up, people dying, and they're not restoring the land in those countries where this stuff is being mined. So they're the hypocrites, in my opinion. I just think it's silly. I mean, and I'll say this too, because he didn't mention it, but when I think of the environment and the woods and things like that, I think of hunters, and hunters are a necessity. You've got areas where I'm from there's more deer now than there ever was before, and it's created a lot of problems. The health of the deer, black bears running amok. It's pretty crazy. And hunting licenses and fees and all that go right back into supporting the environment. It's an important thing. It used to be humans lived on that. So we always kept it in check, the animal populations. And for a long, long time, there was a time when humans were just decimating things for even political reasons, like what people did to destroy the bison population to starve out Indians and things like that back in the day. That's a horrible thing, total waste and really kind of evil when you think about it. But it was a viable strategy. I understand the thinking on it, but they just didn't think about things the way we think about it today. So I just think that's a stupid statement. That the right wants to destroy the environment. Show me that. Show me where any group of Republicans or people on the right are out there going, burn it down, destroy it, pollute it. Nobody wants that. What they are arguing against sometimes are silly ideas coming from the left and forced regulations that make your life more difficult, take more money out of your pocket, and then turn out to be a waste of time. Like recycling, we know that that's not really working the way it's supposed to be working. You know, they sell you on these ideas, they make you do all these things, and then you find out that it's all still going to a landfill anyhow. You know, stuff like that as an example. So it's not that they don't want you doing it, it's that they want you to be more responsible about it. Right? What most people who you'd consider being on the right are about is accountability. We've been lied to so often, and so many things have turned out to not be true. The things we were sold on, you know, we've had enough of it already. And all we want to do is talk about the facts of it. And then what happens is that the left, who controls the media and everything else, and some people on the right too are controlled by, and obviously the left, by big businesses who are making all this money. You don't know what the truth is. Like when you hear different people come out in support or against certain things, they're not really trying to tell you the truth about anything. They're trying to tell you what they're being told to tell you by the people who are paying them to tell you it. You know? It's a silly thing to me, because a lot of the stuff, even the windmills, you look at what it takes, and this anti-oil thing, you know, that people are about, like no more oil. We're always going to need oil. We will never not need oil. Now, we may not need oil for fuel anymore at some point. I think that hydrogen's going to come into play here. But the only reason that we're still on oil is because of the oil companies and a lot of the businesses that support it, and they want to keep using it, and they're going to be slow to change on things because they want to make as much money as they can right now. That's just how that is. But once these other, I mean, look into hydrogen fuel, cars, all that stuff going back decades and decades. People have invented these things, and they create these patents, and then, you know, the patents get bought out by the oil companies or the car companies, and you never see the technology again. And then a lot of the times those people end up dying mysteriously. That's not a conspiracy theory. You can look it up. It's true. So there's a lot of crazy there. But that's not Republicans doing it. That's just people that own these big businesses. And you go, well, they're all Republicans. That's just not true. Well, you think that there's no Democrats that own some of these companies? They're not Democrat or Republican. All right, they're capitalists for one thing, and some of them are just not nice people. You know, they're thinking about things long term. And the belief system on oil is a whole weird thing too. And I've done videos on this before. You guys could look them up on the channel here. You know, what we were told as kids with fossil fuel theory and everything is I don't believe it. It's bullshit. There are these Russian scientists who talked about it, I think back in the 50s or something. I've read a lot on this. They really don't know where oil comes from. They don't know what creates it. And there's many areas where oil had been depleted, but now there's oil there again. So what's really going on, and they still can't explain it, but the inner workings under the earth are creating oil. And they don't know how that's actually working. And oil is a natural thing that just comes out of the ground, man. Right now as I make this video, millions of gallons of oil are seeping up out of the ocean floors into the ocean. There's places on land all over the globe where you guys remember the Beverly Hillbillies? You know, he takes the shot and the oil comes up out of the ground. That's actually happening everywhere. Oil's popping up. You go to the beach here in Los Angeles, you'll get tar on the bottom of your feet because that's oil coming up out of the ground. So it's always happening. It's a natural thing, oil. Like nothing we make is unnatural. Like it's all made from it's not coming from some other, you know what I'm saying? The problem is that the chemical changes that we make things more difficult for those things to break down over time. So what Republicans support is just common sense with all this stuff. Not just the left does these things, and the right, the government in general, does this thing with fear. They want to scare you into believing something which really is about supporting a particular company or business that is going to then put money in their pockets. That's what's always happening. That's the problem. So I'm just saying, there's a lot more going on here than some of you realize. So these are onions. I got 2 onions I cut up in there. And then I got tomato paste and tomato sauce. This is my can opener right here. It's how I open all my cans. You stick this sucker in there and rotate it around. You can time me. I just started. I'm not trying to go fast. It's how quick it is for me. You know, it's this is a good survival. Oh, I got stuck. That rarely happens. Learn how to do this in case you're out in the middle of nowhere one day and you have to open a can of something. It's that easy. Get proficient with things. I've talked enough about that topic. What is the next one? Destruction of public education. Apparently, he thinks that the right is all about destructing public education. You know who destroyed the public education system? The Democrats. Look, man, first of all, that's where all the loony lefties go, man. That whole bureaucratic mindset. Like, there should be a mental test for people. Because, and in particular, like, single women who are teachers and whatnot, some of the ideas that they're putting into the minds of your children is pretty crazy. But the problem with the education system, I contend, kind of started more in the 70s, the late 70s, in the Carter administration, because that's when the Department of Education was created. And when they sold that to the American public, they said that test scores would go up, our ranking in the world would go up. There was a lot of nonsense that was said. Not a single metric that was proposed has taken place. Not one. But what it did do is, as all government agencies do, is it puts more people on the government tit for jobs. That's more of your tax dollars coming out of your pocket to support these monsters. I call them monsters. I think they're out of their minds. Because what it did was it created a bureaucracy and put all these bureaucrats under the name of, what do they call them? Administrators, advisors, or whatnot, in every school across the country. And their job is to implement whatever government nonsense is the current trend into the minds of your kids. I'm very lucky. I mean, I'm the last generation, man. I was born in '66, so even when I was in, civics was over, but it went from civics to social studies. So they were already softening it up and taking some of the information out. Frank Zappa used to talk about this all the time. You know, it's easy to take your freedoms away if you don't know what they are. I contend that most kids today haven't read the Constitution or the Bill of Rights. Have you ever read the Federalist Papers? I got a copy of it right in here. I've always got a Constitution with me, you know. They don't even know what the law is. People who come here from other countries, like legally, and have to become naturalized citizens, like my father did, well, they know more about how this government works than people born and raised here that go through the school system. It's so crazy. So, you know, what you're seeing a lot of Republicans support these days is homeschooling and, were the private schools, the charter schools? Is that the term for that? Yeah, because you're getting an education that way. You're not going to get, you know, you're not exposed to sexuality laden ways of thinking. Like, things aren't predicated on it. You're not going to put your kids in a situation where you're less likely to have predators, for one thing. And this whole thing with the gay stuff and the woke stuff and the transgender stuff and all the other nonsense, people want to avoid that. They don't want their kids exposed to it, so they want to get them out of the public schools. But again, this goes all the way back to the Carter administration. It should have never happened. And I would like a president to come in and get rid of the Department of Education, 100%. States should be able to educate their kids the way they see fit. And if you have a family, if you have children, and you don't like that, you can move to a state or a city that supports the stuff you think you believe in. That's how that works. This blanket thing that people want to do, make everybody think the same way, is crazy to me. Because you're not the same. Everybody's different. So again, I don't see the Republicans trying to tear down the education system. I see the education system being destroyed by loony lefties, which is not Democrats, by the way. It's just a small percentage of these people that get into this. I don't like the bureaucratic mindset. That whole thing, that idea of like, you want to tell other people how to live and the choices that they want to make, and who are you to be telling anybody else how to live? Like, what's your life like? You know? It's crazy to me. So, yeah, that's how I see that. What was the next one here? Putting up obstacles to voting. Okay. There's no obstacles to voting. Yeah, ID. You can't get this thing, and I'll tell you what, there's plenty of videos. You could watch this. People go out into black communities and they ask them, hey, do you have a driver's license? And they're like, yeah, of course. Oh, because we're being told you can't get a driver's license, or you're too dumb or lazy or something to go get some form of ID. Black people get insulted by that shit. Why do you think the blacks are leaving the Democratic Party right now? I mean, they've been patronized to, lied to, used as a pawn for decades, man. And the reason was a lot of that community was poor, and they got into this mindset of LBJ, right? The famous quote, I'll have them voting Democrat for however many more years because of giving away stuff. That was a problem, man. So, oh yeah, the obstacles to voting. So yeah, I support ID for voting. That last election didn't freak you out? You should have to go. I like that I can mail in a ballot because it's convenient. But if somebody came in and changed the voting rules and said, no, you have to go to a polling place and you have to present your driver's license, I would support that. I'd vote for the person that wants to do that. Not because I'm evil or racist or I don't want certain people voting. If they want to vote, they have to do the same thing. And the thing is you need your driver's license or ID to do pretty much everything else in this world. So that's such a false argument. It's so nonsensical to me. It doesn't make any sense. So nobody's trying to keep you from voting. They want you to be who you say you are. And it is funny because these people will do these stories. I forgot to put the meat in. People will do these stories about like, well, you know, it's such a small percentage of, you know, when we find dead people voting. And by the way, the weird thing about dead people voting, this is what I don't understand, is dead people only vote for Democrats. Isn't that kind of strange? Anybody ever think about it? You guys ever wonder about that? Why are dead people Democrats? Because there's a lot of dead people out there that weren't ever Democrats. I don't get it. So, yeah, there's that whole thing. We just want to make sure it's done correctly and responsibly, and every vote that is a real vote matters, and the fake stuff doesn't. If you don't support that, I don't know what to tell you. That's insane. Because basically what you're saying is that you support the possibility of voter fraud. That's what you're saying. Oh, no, it's too different. We can't, that's stupid. No IDs to voting. Okay, so you support voter fraud. That's what it sounds like to me. So I think that's crazy. What else did this guy write? That's like 4.5 pounds, almost 5 pounds of beef right there. What else? Biden has done nothing to hamper the energy industry except cancel some leases. All right. They stopped everything, and then they start. Look, if Biden's policies literally made Iran and Russia wealthy, selling oil, to the point where now the world is on fire. Again, if you don't see that, I don't know what to tell you. There's no other way to look at that. That's what happened. It happened in real time. I watched it happen. I've been paying attention for a long time. As a fact, that gets us to the, you know, I wrote to him that I said, I don't agree with anything that you wrote. Maybe I'll do a video on it, which I'm doing right now. And then this guy doubled down. He says, great, enjoy your videos. So I look forward to that. We're roughly the same age and have followed paths in life that couldn't be more different. You have interesting perspectives on the world. Thanks for sharing. Then If you're interested in other topics to address, I have another. Why do you seem to assume the information you've received is factual, but counterpoints that disagree are lies? Information you have received. There's another comment up here. I want to get to that because I think it talks to that point too. I don't think I saved it. So bear with me here. I apologize. Yeah, it's going to take too long to find it. It was along the lines of that. Like, what am I listening to that gives me my opinions? It's not that I'm listening to anything. It's that I've been paying attention, man. I'm 57 years old. I've been paying attention to what's been going on in the world all this time. I've been living it. So that my perspective is based on my reality, right? It should be everybody's reality. So I see what happens when different people are in office and different things get passed. Somebody did lay it out. Damn it. I almost want to pause this and find that to speak to it. Because that guy was more specific because he listed these things. But I'm not listening to anything. I don't sit there and listen to talk radio. Matter of fact, when, like the Alex Jones thing, I don't listen to it. But I have friends that used to listen to it and tell me, you should listen to this guy. I'm like, I don't want other people's opinions in my head. All right? I listen to a little bit of this here and there, and then, I form my own opinions based on my life, my interactions with people, all of it. That was thyme. I'll just show you because people ask. I put some thyme in there. This is this mushroom mixed stuff from Trader Joe's. This is some garlic powder. There were onions, string beans, carrots, and beef. I like turmeric. I put turmeric in a lot of stuff here. Actually, turmeric tastes like dirt. But when you put it in with everything else, you don't taste it, but this is really good. It's good for your brain. It's supposed to help clean out your pineal gland. And this is one of those things that I was literally walking in the store, like, I don't know, 25 years ago or something, and a voice in my head told me to buy turmeric. As crazy as that sounds, just said turmeric. Buy turmeric. So yeah, I've been putting this in my food when I cook for decades now. I just believe in it. Basil. And and I put a lot of this in because I know anybody watching this go, holy crap, he's dumping a whole bunch of this stuff in here. But this will last me 6 to 7 days. So I count. Usually I do it by eye now. Usually I'm like, okay, 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. You understand? That's how I'm doing it. And then parsley. Parsley's good. It actually helps to boost testosterone. A lot of what I eat is about helping my body to produce its own testosterone. So, yeah, I'm not, just listening to one side and just taking on the beliefs of what people are telling me. I'm paying attention. I know that certain policies, certain programs, certain bureaucratic institutions take more money out of my pocket, and then the results of it, as I've lived and paid attention, don't produce what we were told they would produce when the bullshit was sold to us. That's how it works. You're supposed to be paying attention to this shit. Okay, I gotta move this over there, and I gotta put this in. So now, next thing is I put this tomato sauce in here. I filled this to the brim. I'll show you what it looks like in a minute. And then I got this cool water filter thing. It's like osmosis. It leaves the minerals in but takes out the fluoride and everything else. I don't know what it's called. It's got this swirly thing on here. Amazon product. But I fill the can up with water from that. I got to fill that up again, so I'm leaving it out. And then I just dump this right on. And then I'll cover this. I'll put it on the crock pot, or in the crock pot here, and I'll put it on low, and I'll let it cook for 8 hours. So that's it, I suppose. I just wanted to address those points because I think that those assumptions that he made are just crazy. He doesn't back it up. He just makes these blanket statements, but he's not supporting it with examples. And the thing is I've seen the examples from that side. If you watch MSNBC or CNN or CBS, there's so many, The View, they put this BS out there all the time. They'll take stuff out of context, they'll show you one little story, whatever, to make you hate the other side. The truth is if you sat down, that's the other thing. As I stated on Sunday, I'm friends with a lot of Democrats, man. I live in Los Angeles. I can't not be. Gay people, same thing. Lesbians love me. Believe me. Lesbians aren't really as lesbian as you think they are. So, it's not like I have this myopic view. It's not like I hang out in a bubble. That's the thing about my opinion on things. I'm not hanging out with a bunch of beer-swilling bowlers that are all veterans and, go to church. That's not what I'm doing. Matter of fact, I have a few good friends that think like I do. Not that they agree with everything, but when I say think like I do, we listen, we pay attention, we talk to other people, we figure it out, we come up with an idea. That's how you learn. The media is lying to you all the time. If all you're doing is watching like cable news where they're just arguing all the time, they're not even arguing, they're all supporting each other on the left. But then all your friends watch the same stuff, late night TV, same thing. They all watch the same shows. Then your discussion or entertainment, the whole entertainment world is supporting these BS narratives. So, and they're ramming shit down your throat. Like every show now has transgender people, gay people, everything else. You can live your whole life in some places in the world and never interact with a gay person. You know what I mean? Or not know it. That was great. Those were the nice days, right? When you didn't have to know what people's sexual orientation was or what they thought about everything. Like you could just live and go to work and have interactions with people. They could have a total freaky life. You would never know it because they weren't telling you. Nowadays, you got to tell everybody everything. I had a client, this gay guy. He works for the city. He's a really nice guy. Always paid me what I asked. Nice house. He's got this partner he was with for years. And I remember because he used to get a kick. He got a kick out of the first time he showed me. The first thing he showed me was in his garage. This is kind of disgusting to a lot of people. I just laugh at it. All these sexual devices. So like this big X-brace thing that you can strap people to and like a sawhorse, it's padded that you can bend over and strap somebody to. All these crazy things just for sex. And then, which I was like, what? And then I went over there like a couple of years later to do something else for the guy. And he took me into his closet. And he's got shelves. It's nothing but dildos, man. He's a gay guy, right? I mean, big horse dildos, all kinds of stuff. And I look at him, he's just looking at me funny to see what my reaction would be. Like, I don't know if he thought I'd get turned on by it and whatever. Like, that's what they all do. They all want to try to turn you. That's their fantasy. Turn a straight guy. It's crazy. I don't judge that. Here's the funny thing about this guy. He's a Second Amendment guy. He's got a ton of guns. There's a picture of me with this really cool shotgun that has a couple different barrels that I posted years ago. That was from him. I just walked out of his closet full of dildos with this shotgun. I said, hey, take my picture. I should have taken it with the dildos behind me. So, I'm around these people. I talk to them. And that guy was actually pretty conservative, too. A lot of gay people I meet out here are conservative. Because a lot of them are business people. A lot of them make money. Like the gay people that work for themselves, they tend to have more conservative thinking on economics and that sort of thing. Like they don't like money being taken out of their pockets. They don't like crazy regulations that are put in place for feelings to make people feel good that don't really do anything. They don't like that shit either. So I don't know if this helps, but I just wanted to address this one particular comment, which I lost now because I wanted to make sure I said that was from @QSOC6228. @QSOC6228. That's the guy who left the comment. So feel free to ask him what he means and see if he wants to elaborate on what he's talking about, because I'm not seeing it. And here's the thing, as I know from talking to all these people, and I always let them off the hook. Like if I'm at your house, I go in your house to look at a job, and you're trying to size me up. Because what I find is that people who lean more to the right don't care. You come into their house, you talk about the project, maybe there's some interesting thing that they see the van, it strikes up a conversation, but it's pretty much focused on the work. It's the left people, because they're insecure, right? I walk into their house, they're trying to size me up. Then they start asking political type questions, or they'll make some statement, anti-Trump thing or something, and I go, well, what makes you think that? And then they'll tell me, and I'll go, well, that's not right. That wasn't even true. That's total falsehood. That was what these people were saying, but it's been proven false now. You know that, don't you? And then that turns into a conversation. And I've literally been in somebody's house for over 3 hours, up to 4 hours, usually 2 to 3 hours, talking about this stuff. Not because I think I'm right, but just because I'm listening to them. I listen to them and I'm like, no, wait. This is how, well, the history of that is this. Like, how many of you knew about the Department of Education? If you're my age, you know. You've been around, you saw it. You know it was all BS. You got children in school? That's the other thing. I did that whole thing on the woke narcissists while I was naked in a hot tub at the Saline Valley, trying to tell us about the education system and how we need these programs that are good for gay people and everything. I said, well, what about your kids? And right away, they got defensive. Well, we don't have, we're not going to. Exactly. Shut the hell up. This is the problem. People who will never have children telling people who have children how to raise their children. Oh, did you get picked on when you were a kid? Oh, tough, man. That's life. Suck it up, develop a sense of humor, learn how to deal with it. All right? Because if you don't learn those skills and you're coddled and you make everything about your emotions, you can get away with that for a while, but eventually you're going to be an adult and somebody's going to call you out on your bullshit. Now, unfortunately, what's happened is that mindset, those types of people are now the people teaching your kids. And now they're the people who are changing this narrative. They're the people who graduated school being programmed with a bunch of revisionist history and nonsense, who are now, like, if you take if you want to be on the news, you have to take all these communications classes, all these, what is it, Associate of Arts classes. I did that when I went to school. That's how I know. So I went like 1990 to 92. I only did 2 years of college, but full time. I got like 68 credits or something, 3.4 average. I took a lot of psych, a lot of history, that sort of thing, but theater and all the other arts. And that's how I knew. I was these teachers, and I was arguing with my professors all the time because they would say these things. I'd be like, wait a second, that is not my experience at all. I'm the son of an immigrant. My dad was a child soldier, left home at 9 years old for 4 years during the Greek Civil War. He was a hunter, survivalist. I mean, 3 years old, he took me out hunting, held a rifle to my shoulder. I've been hunting and doing that stuff ever since I was a kid. I haven't done it in a long time. I'd like to get back to it. Good way to eat good, clean meat and save a bunch of money. But, I've been living alone since I was 14. I've always worked since I was in single digits, making my own money, buying my own stuff, getting tools, building my own stuff, figuring it out, man. So, I don't know. The whole, it's just a crazy world, man. I'm just saying, though, the best thing that you can all do, regardless of what side you're on, is make an effort to talk to people and engage with people who don't agree with you and have a conversation. Because you're going to find out that you kind of agree on some stuff, and the stuff you don't agree on, you could hash that out, and you might get the other person, both ways, to see it from your perspective for the sake of like having a better understanding. That's what I promote. That's what I'm trying to do here. If you think I'm some meanie person or something, you're just wrong. You don't know who I am. You don't know what I've done or what I do for people. So get off of it. Even with the race stuff. I mean, my sister has kids. They're not white kids. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. I've dated plenty of women of every nationality there is, every shade of color there is. I don't see that. It doesn't bother me. I see the human being. All right? Or you, like, well, I first see you, obviously you see things, but then I want to know who you are, and then I get to know you, and that's who you are. It's not about this. It's about what's in there, what's in here, what comes out. Can you communicate? Are you articulate? Can you back up the things that come out of your mouth with common sense and facts and history? Or is it all just emotional nonsense? You're just regurgitating what you've heard 100 times, put in your head. You're just repeating what you said because that's not what you think. It's not even what you believe. It's what you were programmed with. That's the problem. You're being programmed. So I'm trying to deprogram you. So deprogramming. Maybe that'll be in the title. Anyhow, I gotta go, man. I gotta put this on. Shit, I'm talking so much. This takes 8 hours, which means, and it's already 10 o'clock, so it's 6 o'clock. Let's get this sucker plugged in here and turned on. I'll do that, but I'll say goodbye to you right now. Have a great day. Be kind to one another, right? I'm trying to be nice here. I'll catch you in the next one.